Let's get it. Now we're in section 4.2. We dealt with the vertex form of a quadratic formula in quadratic function in 4.1. Today we are dealing with the standard form. So make sure you write the title, okay, and the objective, okay. Hopefully you have a good idea of how to graph these guys now. Hopefully you have a good idea of how to get these guys in vertex form. But now we deal with a quadratic function in standard form. Okay, and the quadratic function in standard form takes on this. So please write that down. We'll deal with it in regular notation. That is function notation, okay? And we're going to use function notation when we get a little bit further ahead. But a standard form of a quadratic function would be y equals ax squared plus bx plus c. Okay, so make sure you put that in your notes. You have your title, you have your objective. Once again, if I'm going fast, hit that pause button. That's a beautiful thing of watching these videos at home, all right? The teacher never goes too fast for you. Okay, here we go. We're just going to get after some problems right off the bat because examples are going to be a great way of showing you how to do these. Okay, let's start with 8. All right, y equals x squared plus 2x plus 1. Now, these are all given to me in standard form, and they're asking me to identify the vertex, the axis of symmetry, max, min value, domain, and range. Okay, and so able to do this, what is very helpful is to transform this from standard into vertex form. Okay, now how do I change it from standard into vertex form? Well, I need to know what A, B, and C are. Now, if you remember, I had you write down on the previous page what the standard form looked like. And it was A was whatever was in front of x squared, which would be 1 in this case. B is what was in front of x, which would be 2 in this case. And C is that leftover dude, Ichi. Okay? Now, and able to get this into vertex form, we're going to change it from that into this. Okay, remember that from last lesson? Okay, and it's actually not too bad to do. All we have to do is find A, H, and K. And believe it or not, there's one of those dudes we know already. What? Is that easy? Yeah, we know what A is, right? A is Ichiban, or 1. So I've got that done already. All I have to do now is find H and have to find K. All right, we have some formulas to help us out to do this, okay? The way we find H is equal to the opposite of B over 2A. That's it. Well, what the heck is the opposite of B over 2A? Well, let's find out. What's the opposite of B? Well, B is positive 2, so the opposite of that is negative 2. What is A? A is Ichi. And then you just do math. That would be negative 2. 2 times 1 is 2. And that'd be H would be negative 1. So that part is done already. How about it? Now what we have to do is we have to find out. Sorry, I had a sneeze. We have to find out what K is. Well, how the heck do you find out what K is? Well, K is what if you put that in for X. So I'm going to kind of give you guys a little bit of like a formula at home. All right, that we find is just actually an X value. Okay, so the vertex right so far is negative 1 comma something. So we have to find the Y value. So we're just going to write K equals. We're going to put a negative 1 in for all of the X's. Remember, whenever you substitute, you should always use parentheses. Okay, please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. It means you're going to exponent first. So it'd be negative 1 squared, which was 1. Okay, and then we're going to do multiplication next, which would be that, which would be a negative 2. And then we're going to add and subtract from left to right. So we'll do those two first. And then it's 0. So there we go. It's your vertex. Your H is negative 1 and your K is 0. So now all I have to do is plug in to my vertex form. What was A? Remember, we had that from the beginning. 1. Now, Ichi, you don't ever have to really write there unless you want to. Okay, like the SAT, I'll show you how this would look, okay? And then it'd be X minus a negative 1. Well, if I put a negative 1 in there, 2 negatives equal up positive, and then plus 0. Now, if this was on the SAT, your answer would look like this. Ichi would be imaginary, and your answer would just be there. Okay, and then they're asking me to answer some questions here. So let's see if we can answer those given this in vertex form. That's vertex form. It says define the vertex. Boom. Vertex is always H comma K, remember. Dunzo. Find the axis of symmetry. Remember, the axis of symmetry is always the X value or the H of the vertex. So it's X equals -1. Is there a max or min value? Now remember, this guy does not have a reflection. Well, if it doesn't have a reflection, that means it's going up. If it's going up, the vertex would be minimum value. So we have minimum value, the y equals, and it's the k, right? It's the y value. Y equals 0. And then last is your domain and your range. Domain would be negative infinity to infinity. And your range, remember, that's the smallest sign, then it goes up ever and ever, which means the smallest value is 0, and it goes on forever and ever. Up though, right? We put the bigger number second and the smaller number first. So we put a bracket around there. That's it. That's it. That's as easy as it is. Does it get tougher, Mr. T? Kind of, sort of. Which one of these guys look like it might be a little bit tougher? Let's go ahead and look at number, I would say, let's go with 10, and then you guys are going to try 11 on your own, okay? Let's go ahead and do 10. Actually, let's do 11, and then you guys will do 10 on your own, okay? Because I think people would make mistakes on 11. So let's go y equals -x squared plus 2x plus 5, okay? Now remember, our standard form is this. The first thing we should have made that in blue is we want to find out what A, B, and C is. A is -1, B is 2, and C is 5. Okay. Next, we have to change this from standard form into vertex form. What's vertex form? Remember, it is that guy right there. And we already know what A is. Booyah, negative, which means it would be, if you're really with it, it would be a parabola that goes down or concave down. So now remember, all we've got to do now is find out what H and K is, and we have formulas for these. H is equal to the opposite of B over 2A. So that means H is equal to the opposite of a positive 2 is a -2 over 2 times -1. So that H equals -2 over -2, which would be H equals H. So my vertex so far, my vertex is H comma K, which would be 1 comma. Well, then I got to find the K. Well, how the heck do I find the K? I'm going to write vertex here. I'm running out of room. Sorry, class. And so K is equal to, remember, we're going to substitute. Okay, so it's negative. I'm going to put a 1 in for X. So that negative is on the outside. It's not part of your X or your H because your H is 1. Plus 2 times 1 plus 5. That's the part I thought some of you would make a mistake. A lot of people in this problem, what they do is they put that negative on the inside and then they square it. And if you do that, it turns positive. But please excuse my dear Aunt Sally tells me to do the exponent first, which I get 1. And then I have to do multiplication, which negative times a 1 is -1. 2 times a 1 is 2 plus 5. A equals 2 at a time, remember, EG plus 5, which is 6. So that means my Y value is 6, or my K value, Y value for the vertex. Now I should be done. And then I just have to make sure I answer questions, right? I know what A is. A was a -1, so let's put negative EG out in front. Okay, and then it would be X minus your H, which is 1. It's not going to change it to a positive because it's not 2 negatives makes a positive. Squared plus 6. If it was on your SAT, your answer would be written like this. So important to understand. This guy here and this guy here, if I put them both in my calculator, would give me the same graph. No way, Jose. Go ahead and do it, and I will prove you. All right, so it's going to look like that. So let's answer some questions. We've got vertex. Do we know what our axis of symmetry is? We for sure do. It is just the X value. Is there a max or min? Well, it's going down. Why? Because of the negative, there's a reflection. So that's going to be max. So then we have a max value of y equals 6. Domain, what's the domain? Oh, I can't wait for all of these on my next quiz. Negative infinity to infinity. And then what is the range? This is always the hardest one. It goes down forever. That means the smallest value is negative infinity. You always put the small value first. What's the maximum value? The highest guy. It goes as high as 6. So we go booyah. That's it. Nice and easy. Japoneasy. All right. Now remember, you need to change yourselves. Actually, let's see. Maybe we could get a tougher one. Let's see what these next pages give us. Okay. I think 10. I think you guys would probably be able to get that kind of okay. Let's see. Did I switch it? I sure did. Ooh, 19 looks pretty tough, doesn't it, class? All of these are all the same. So let's just go ahead and do 19. Looks different. Let's do 19. Now I challenge you guys to try that guy on your own. So hit pause, give it a shot, see how you guys do. Remember, mistakes are so good. We learn the best from making mistakes, okay? So here we go. I'm going to write down my problem. Over here, I'm going to write down what the general or standard form, right? That's what this book is calling it. And I mean, what up? That is my third form, right? And I'm going to want to transform that into my vertex form. Okay? Yeah. Okay. And it says to graph this. We're not going to graph it, but I'm going to teach you how to change it so that we can graph it. Okay? Because this is asking us kind of a different question, but we're going to deal with it kind of the same way we just did. Okay? Now, in able to graph it, we need to know what our A is, which is 2, our B is, which is 4, and our C is, which is 0. There's no C. That's okay. Don't stress about it. What a lot of people do is if something's missing, they think it's imaginary, so they put a 1 there. No, no, no. That's only if something's like in front of a parentheses, okay? So here our C is 0 because there's nothing there. So let's go ahead and find our H, which is the opposite of B over 2A. What is B? B is 4, so we go the opposite of 4, which is negative 4 over 2 times 2. So we got H is negative 4 times, 2 times 2 is 4. So we get H equals negative 1. So my vertex so far, okay, if I wanted to graph it, it was negative 1 comma K. So I got to find the K. How do I find the K? Well, I go back here, and wherever I see X, I'm going to put my H, which is a negative 1. And that's going to allow me to find out what the K is. Please excuse my dear Aunt Sally, means I'm going to do exponents. Okay, and then we're going to multiply from left to right. 2 times 1 is 2, 4 times negative 1 is negative 4, and I get a negative 2. Booyah, boom. So that's the vertex axis of symmetry, AOS, right, would be X equals negative 1. Your dome, this would be a max, parabola up, right, because we didn't have a reflection, so it would be a minimum value of y equals negative 2. My domain would be negative infinity to infinity, and my range would be, what would that be? Goes up forever. So my smallest value is that negative 2 bracket, and then to positive infinity. So this asks you to graph it. Now, we really should graph this with a little RST, right, that we did in class. But if they're just asking me for like a sketch of the graph, it's just negative 1, negative 2, booyah, axis of symmetry, and it's going up. Spling, 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 spling. Okay, and that'd be it. Okay, and we're going to focus on these in class. If we have one of these problems and I ask you to graph using transformations, that's when you're going to have to do that RST. Okay, but you know what? It all depends on what the question asks. If it's just asked for a sketch, hey, this is a sketch, believe it or not. Booyah, done. Right? And the most important thing of that sketch, right, is knowing that it has a minimum value, knowing what the axis of symmetry is, and what our domain and range is. That's it for today, you guys. Reverse that bad boy. We've got a word problem we got to look at. How fun, right? Because we got to relate this stuff to real life applications. Okay, so we have one more we got to do here. Okay, and here it is right here. A model for a company's revenue from selling a software package is here. Okay, so it's going to stress some students out because there's no y's and x's. Well, you kind of relate that, right? That's really y equals x squared plus bx plus c, right, class? Where p is the price in dollars, what price will maximize find the maximum revenue. All right, so let's think about this. How do we usually find the maximum? Well, hopefully when you answer it at home, class, would that be a parabola going up or a parabola going down? If you said a parabola going down, you are awesome. That means it is a max. Okay? So now they're asking what price, P stands for price, so that would be the X. Okay? So what price is it that gives us that max? And what is the revenue? Revenue is the Y. Okay, so if you notice, it's just your P comma R, which is actually your H comma K. So let's go through this. How did we usually find H in the past? Well, the way we found H in the past is we had our problem, right here, and we wrote down what our A was, negative 0.5, and we wrote down what our B was, 500, and we wrote down what our C, which is 0 because there is no C. All right, now how do I find this p-value? Well, it's the vertex, which means it's the H. And what is the H? Well, that's just the opposite of B over 2 times A, right, class? That's it. Okay, so what would that be? That would be the opposite of 500, which would be negative 500, all over 2 times negative 2.5. Well, what's double? What's 2 times 2.5? Well, that would be negative 500 over negative 5, and that is H equals 100. So that means the price of selling the software package is $100, right? Because right now that's 1, the price is 100. But what is its revenue? How much money is this company making? Well, since that's R, or the vertex, that would be my K value. Well, how the heck do I find the K value? Remember, that's just a negative 2.5. We're going to put 100 in there because that is the H, right? It's 100 comma, so we're going to square that. 500 times 100. And that's it. And to do that, believe it or not, all you have to use is your calculators. And when I plug that bad boy into my calculator, I get negative 25,000 plus 50,000 equals 25,000. So make sure whenever you do word problems, you always answer it as a sentence. Check this out. Move it. Whoa. So the way I would answer this in a sentence is I would say the price that maximizes revenue is $100, 100 bones, and the maximum revenue is $25,000. Make sure you come in for help if you need it. Alohas.